Hey, 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 beautiful beings. Welcome in. So today I'm joined by the beautiful Andrea Jackson. Welcome in, Andrea.
Thank you, Lindsay. Lovely to be here.
Thank you. So I'm going to let Andrea introduce herself. So you might recognize Andrea from the chat that we did with Nikki Hollins as well, when we were talking about cacao and ceremony and everything else. So today I just wanted to find out a bit more about Andrea and the journey she's been on and what she is doing. So do you want to introduce yourself, Andrea?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so yes, I'm Andrea Jackson. I've been kind of doing this sort of work for around about I was a hairdresser, so like I've worked with women my whole life, right from being quite young. My mum was a hairdresser as well. So I've always really resonated with how, the hairdresser was also like the counsellor. So you would see a woman every week or every month or whatever, and you would always have those conversations. How's your family? What's going on in your life? And it's like a counselling session. Yeah. So that's kind of where my journey started. And I remember my mum, even from being really little, having women around, and so we always had that kind of community vibe in our house. I had strong women around me. My mum and my nana and my aunt were real strong women. So I've been brought up in a real feminine kind of environment where the women were like, there doing it. So my journey transitioned about 16 years ago, actually. So I ended up in relationships that were quite controlling and abusive, really, and for a long time. So 20 years in a relationship like that, where I had my kids and everything. And during that time, I suffered with really bad anxiety, panic attacks. I felt very trapped. I felt very alone. And I had a panic attack one night and hyperventilated, and got a doctor out, and the doctor said, you need to really sort this out. I see this a lot with women. You need to be doing something for relaxation. And at that time, I was 30 then. So at that time, I had a new baby. I had a 7-year-old son. To find yoga then anyway it just wasn't really, it was like, it just wasn't around really that much. Anyway, I ended up finding a book, and I started working from a book, and found that it was starting to help me, and I was coping a lot better, I just generally was feeling better. And then my path started in Ashtanga yoga, which was quite a powerful. My body was getting strong. I was feeling much stronger in myself. And anyway, I ended up leaving that marriage and starting out on my own path. So decided to go into a rented house so that the money I got from that marriage I could use for my own growth. I'd always had that spiritual connection, and I wanted to explore it further. So I did massage training, crystal therapy, Reiki, Indian head massage. I went mental. I just went mental. I just crammed for years, crammed all this information, started opened a centre called York Urban Retreat with my sister, and started offering therapies. Anyway, I was still practicing yoga every day, and I still felt a real strong pull to yoga, and I was drawn to through a friend actually to Drew Yoga, which was a yoga style that really encompassed all the spiritual, like the chakras, and that was all I wanted to know about. I didn't want to know just postures. I wanted to know what was underneath all of that, how the magic happened, how it transforms. So trained in Drew Yoga, got myself into another controlling relationship that really shut me down, at worse than ever. It was actually really, really, you talk about like codependent. It was awful. It was very messy. And that went on for 4 years, where I was closed down again, really. And then when I left that, I said, that was it. Like, there's no way. I'm not going to do nothing else with men. I don't want anything to do with men again. Too damaging. I'm an idiot. You know, I just go for these men that are just mental. And so then went on a path, like, for 4 years, just completely immersed in yoga. I was running classes, various different things. And then my mum got sick. So she was diagnosed with cancer, multiple myeloma, and I'd seen my mum. She'd been a real hard worker, never rested. You know, you'd never see her sit down. She was always working, always cleaning. You know, she was like perfectionist, and so I could see all this stuff. And when this this cancer showed up in her body, she was going through a really tough time, because she'd come into us. She was sort of in her late 60s. She was like 66, I think, when she first was diagnosed. And she was in a place where she'd retired. She kind of had not a lot of purpose. She was very stressed about money, about lots of stuff. She was very, very stressed. And she'd never been like that, my mum. She'd always been quite chilled out, but she'd become really stressed. And what I kind of intuited from her cancer was that this cancer was a bone cancer. It was actually bone marrow. So it was like right in her foundations. And I could see that really what I was getting was this, you know, she'd given her whole life to service, like to work and be there for everyone, but she'd never given her time for herself. And so that really changed how I then wanted to offer my work. So I decided really that I knew she was going to die, because we'd been told that it was not curable. It was treatable, but not curable. And the lifespan was 3 years. So I knew we had a space of time. And we had a journey to do, you know, with it. So I decided to dedicate all of my work to women, and to creating spaces for women to relax, to give permission actually for women to relax. Because, you know, this is one of the main things I think with women and relaxation, is that we really feel guilty when we sit. And that's a lot of come from our parents, from our grandparents, you know, from different times where women just didn't self-care, and they didn't, you know, they just didn't take care of themselves really very well. So I changed all of my work to women's wellness. So it was all about women's wellness. Did some training in like wellness coaching, and done lots of trainings. I've always kept training. I love learning. And then started running women's wellness days. Actually, that's how it started. So I used to do a Saturday once a month, and we'd all come together, do some yoga, bring food, chats, and you know, it was just lovely. You know, quite a few of my yoga students used to come. And then I did some training with a lady from Ayurveda Pura in London, and it was a women's Ayurveda course. And she shared in this course that something like, and it was very high, like 90%, maybe more, % of women's dis-ease is caused through lack of expression. And in that sentence, I just thought, oh my God, well, if we can start creating circle, if we can start bringing women together where they have the opportunity to express, then that could change a lot of lives. And it could also really change how, you know, disease is held or released in the body. So it would have been about, oh my goodness, now how long? 6, 7, I bet it's about 8 years ago, maybe longer now. My mum's been dead like 5 years, so it probably would have been about 8 years. I decided to birth women's circles. So actually at that time, there was nothing like that really around. There may be some red tent stuff was starting to kind of come forward, but there was nothing really much around at all. And actually everyone thought I was mental, honestly. Like, I lost so much of my students because I'd gone into like full moon stuff. I was working with the moon, and I wanted to really start to bring the yoga in sync with the seasons and cycles. And so I did lose quite a lot of my students, because they thought I'd gone into complete like a cult. Like they thought I was like
bless you,
occultist. So I started running circles once a month, and they were actually really quite popular. And then I think it kind of got to a point where my mum died anyway. She died, and through all of that time I found cacao. I'd gone to a ceremony and found cacao, and there was lots of different stuff all kind of happening at the same time. And through the sort of transition, I took a month off work after my mum died, and there was a lot came up for me during that time. But what I decided to do was to rebirth my whole business. And what I wanted to create was this Radiant Woman logo, which would be, you know, where, and it's not about me being radiant. That's not what it's about. It's about actually me encouraging other women to become radiant, you know, to be their radiant selves, to find that within them. So I think there's been I think some people have been a little bit cautious around my work, because they think, like I'm saying, like I'm this radiant woman. I'm not. I have shit days. I have days when I can't, you know, I just don't want to get out of bed. I feel crap, and you know, I'm just like any other woman. I'm not always radiant. I feel radiant some days, but I'm not always radiant. So it kind of isn't about that, really. It's just about that essence when a woman really starts to self-care, starts to put herself first, and starts to really commit to her own self. That is when we start to really get into this radiance within. You know, the spirit is said to be this beautiful sparkle quality, like this. This morning I was saying in the circle this morning, like this Tinkerbell quality, of lightness and joy, and you know, this is the kind of essence of the spirit. So that's kind of really what I want to encourage women to come to be grounded and centered, for sure, but also to be in that beautiful essence of love, really, which is what everything is about. You know, it's all about love.
Sorry to interrupt. I just think that it's really important, like you said, you know, in terms of like, because of the work that you're doing, like you don't get to avoid any of the shit that goes on as well. Do you know what I mean? We don't get to bypass anything, do we?
No, not at all.
We can hold that space, and we can run the circles and do the workshops, but then we still have to be there for ourselves. And like you said, there are days where we feel emotional and we're sobbing, and we're sort of like just allowing these emotions to come through us, and we're not always maybe sort of like what maybe people expect. Do you think that would be fair to say?
Oh my God, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I guess, you know, I do feel I'm quite a positive person most of the time. I am, but I'm also human. I've just been through the menopause. That was a really tough ride for me, because I went, you know, the day my mother died, I had my last period, and I was just launched straight into menopause. So that has been a really tough ride, because I've been going through the grief of losing my mum, and also the whole menopausal phase, which is pretty tough, and it can be really lonely place for women, which is, you know, really also what I love about Circle is that, you know, quite often we can think we're going through it alone, and my God, I mean, every woman that is in this age bracket is going to be going through shit, and it's hard, and it is really hard, because it's like a massive grieving process. Your body's changing, you're going through the biggest transition of your life, really, and it can feel really lonely, and you can feel like you're going mental. I honestly used to say, I am going mental. There's something wrong with me. I'm going mental. Why am I even going through this process? Like, I've done yoga for God knows how many years. This can't be happening to me. Why is this happening to me? You know? And so, you know, and also, you know, even when I look back to the years when I was in the controlling marriage, and, you know, in that, I felt so alone. Like, I felt like I was the only woman who was going through all this stuff. And, you know, I think what Circle has taught me over the years of running them is that we are all suffering in the same way, really, just on different levels. And when we come together and voice that, and we can be heard, and this is the biggest thing that I teach in my trainings, is to be heard is the greatest gift a woman can have. To be able to express whatever they're feeling, and not be, you know, judged, you know, for no one to be shocked by it. You're not judged for it. You can just express it and be heard. We don't need to be comforted. We just need to be heard often. It's the greatest gift we can offer, you know, and I really, you know, I mean, I'm you know, wanting to, we do the cacao circle training, but, you know, I'm definitely going to be creating more circle training, because I feel it's, you know, I want to see circle. I mean, I'm seeing it now anyway. There is much more circle work happening. I want to encourage women everywhere to have circles, you know, yoga teachers, you know, people, coaches, whatever. I feel so strongly that these circles need to be rebirthed in a great way, because it's such a huge healing for women, you know. And I feel at the moment like this divine feminine energy is certainly risen now, but equally, you know, I think men need it, you know. I mean, it's not all about, like, for me, it's never all been about women. It's not all about women. You know, I love men also, but my work has just, it just was guided that way. You know, and I totally think that, you know, women and men can come together in circle, but there is a different energy when that happens.
Yeah.
But men for sure need circle. Men really need to express and be held in love and in a space of support as well, you know. And like I said, that, you know, because the masculine and feminine are coming back into balance, so we need that balance as well. You know, we need our men, and our men, you know, also, you know, half the time don't know what the frigging hell to do with the women. Like, what the hell do we do with them now? You know, we don't know what's going on with them. So, you know, for the men to, you know, we were talking actually on our training about how in the West we've been really taught that the masculine energy is this active doing, you know, it's all this push energy. But actually, when we look at the you know, the from the goddess and the Hindu tradition, Shiva is this you know, this god, but Shiva is like the stillness. So the men really are this stillness, that they're this constant stillness, and the women are the creators. The women are the ones that birth into the world, so they really just need this, you know, from a man, this constant holding, really, this steadiness. And then the woman can just dance around that and create and birth. And, you know, so this is a lovely way of looking at how the men and women do come together. And we do need our male energies, we do need them within us, and we need them with us as well. You know, we also need to really honor that maybe the man's role is just the steadiness, not so much the, you know, the push active, you know, we've got to, and especially for women, you know, we want to flow with life. You know, our word of the week this week in our spirit dance is flow, because it's, we really need to drop it, because I think, you know, even like in the yoga world, you know, I've developed a yoga training for women because I feel that we need flow. We need flow in our yoga, because, you know, we've been kind of brought into this yoga world, and everyone's doing yoga, but it's very, very masculine yoga that we're doing. And actually the styles, really, a lot of the styles that are out there were made for men. They were developed for men. And so where, you know, where can we find more flow in that yoga practice, in that union? And it doesn't always have to be through, you know, 108 sun salutations. It might be through movement, and then moving into postures in a fluid way and dancing around them, and how that suits the woman's body. So I do feel that we are moving into new times where, you know, this fluidity, all of the structures are coming down.
Definitely, yeah.
Down, and we're moving into this beautiful element of water, where we can flow and we can swim and we can, you know, my teacher at the weekend said, she made a lovely quote about flowing with the river rather than pushing it, you know.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what I feel is really needed now for this new way of being, you know.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Andrea, but I find that when I allow myself to really listen to what I feel like doing that day, so, you know, rather than going, right, I must send a newsletter because it's the first, and I must do this and I must do that. Instead, when I'm like, what do I feel like doing? Do I feel like actually working today, or do I feel like going out, or, you know, really listening to myself. Do I feel like dancing, or do I feel like writing? Do I feel like creating something? Like, life tends to flow much easier anyway. Whereas when, like you said, you know, if you sit down, you're like, right, it's Monday morning, it's 9 o'clock, I have to work. Yeah. And your mind's not there, or you're not focused, or your body wants to do something differently. It's about going, you know what, it's 9 o'clock. What does my body want to do? What do I feel like doing? It just helps the day just flow more smoothly. Do you find that as well?
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, like you know, I really encourage through well, through everything that I do, really. I mean, I love Ayurveda, so I love this science of yoga, which is beautiful and very feminine. And you know, the science of yoga is about following the flow of nature. So we look to nature all the time. Like if we look at the energies of the day and the night as well, like in the morning time, actually, from 6 till 10 a.m. I think it is, we have this downward movement of energy. So actually 9 o'clock in the morning is not the best time to be putting anything out, because the energy is moving down. So it's actually, you know, much a nicer time to maybe go for a walk, do a little bit of movement, but just, you know, just a bit more down.
Like,
so like at
easing your way into
lunchtime,
the
the
day.
energy moves up. So we go into this kind of pitta energy, which is more fire. And so this is a great time to feed ourselves. So our digestive fire is at its highest. So we eat like our main meal at lunchtime, which completely makes sense. And if we go back to how our grannies lived, I mean, that's what they did. They had their main meal at lunchtime to sustain energy for the day ahead, rather than having big meals at night when we're going to bed. Why? You're like, why would you do that? And then at night, you know, the afternoon, so like from 2 o'clock, the afternoon energy is air movement. So actually that is the best time to be creative, because it's air, it's the mind, it's movement energy. So it's actually in the afternoon is a really nice time to sit down and do your creative work from 2 o'clock. And then we move back then into the kapha time again, which is for the evening, settling down, bringing us down, ready for bed, for sleep. And the same, you know, the thing is also, which has drove me crazy for years, is why we're teaching sun salutes at night. What the fuck? You know, why?
The sun's going down.
Do that? Like, we want to be doing restorative and yin style at night. You know, maybe we do a bit of movement, but you know, firing ourselves up at night. Why? Well, why? And then we go into, like, during the night is the again, we go back into fire energy. So between 10 at night and 2 in the morning is fire. And that's when our body does all its housekeeping. So if we're sitting up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, we're actually robbing energy from the following day. So really, bed at 10, up at 6, before 6 if you can, the Brahma Muhurta time, which is this beautiful morning time when the energies, the veils between the worlds is the thinnest, and it's that quiet time where we can sit with our cacao and we can do our journaling. And you know, so we really start to really sink in with the flow of nature. And this is really what, you know, this is when I know an Ayurvedic lady that I went to years ago, she said when we start to live out of sync with nature, we get sick. We get sick because our bodies are nature. Our bodies have all of the elements. We have all of the elements inside of us. So why would our body be any different to the earth? Why would it? Why, you know? I remember in like autumn time, I never liked it because my energy was pulling in and I was wanting to push out, and it was not working. I'm like, no, this is no good. Like winter, I hate it. You know, it's like going in. But when we look at nature and we observe it, that is the time to pull in, to hibernate, semi-hibernate. You know, it's only because we've got electric lights that we then sitting up till God knows what time in the morning working on computers and things like that. So, you know, I feel that, you know, the seasons and, you know, this, like, you know, wheel of the year is going to be something that I've been working with for a lot of years, but I really want to start working for me with the goddesses now and how their qualities can come in each season, and, you know, how we can really work with their energies and the feminine in that way.
So I joined you last week whilst my kids were away I managed 4 days of your spirit dance, which was so beautiful. By the Friday, I was just like, my body doesn't want to get out of bed. But do you want to share with us and tell us a little bit more about spirit dance and what that is? And
yeah. So spirit dance was something that I've created myself. It was something that really birthed through a time when I'd actually I'd started getting into, I'd always liked to dance, actually. I've always loved to dance. I forgot that I used to dance. I forgot I used to dance, really. Started doing some tribal belly dance stuff, and then I ended up doing some chakra dance training, which I loved. It was brilliant. And then it started to become, I started to be more aware that music can be so transformative in healing the body, because we have a memory in our body that's very much related to music, that the music in the time when we were at a certain age, when certain things were happening. And the energy in our body wants to move always. This emotional energy doesn't want to be trapped in the body. It doesn't want to be held in there. It wants to move. So I started creating a few playlists. I've done some work with Leola and Tara as well, some erotic feminine stuff and dance, and I was kind of in choir, so I was doing quite a lot of different dance things. But started to create my own playlist, really, and you know, playing with cacao and my drum and movement and rattles, and you know, just really intuitively just playing, and how that worked for me, and just really found that my body was just really liking it, and I was loving the movement, and you know, blending all these different things. So I started offering like 3-hour spirit dance workshops, which were journaling, movement, you know, sharing, like sharing circle. And I did about 3 of them, well, maybe more actually, but maybe a few more, because I was doing them all over the place. But anyway, lockdown happened, and all of that kind of came in, and it was, you know, not sort of offerable anyway. So after lockdown happened, straight away I was honestly on the verge of bankruptcy, honestly, because we just opened Yes Academy literally a month before. All my money had gone into that I had left. I had my income literally stopped that day, and I hated online. Like, you would not see me putting videos out and nothing, because I was just not that. I remember. Honestly, it was so not me. And but also, to be honest, at that time I was really burnt out. When we opened Yes Academy, I was completely burnt out. I really was. I'd worked so hard through grief, through menopause. I was not resting enough. I was really struggling. So in a lot of ways it was brilliant, but I did ring an accountant that day and said, how do I go bankrupt? Because I think I'm not going to survive this.
Yeah.
Anyway, after a few days, I'd seen a few videos out about how to work online and Zoom and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, right, I'm going to have to do something, because I can't just go under. There's no way. I'm not going to go under.
Yeah.
So got some lights and various different things. My internet was shit and it kept going down. But anyway, I started to try to do a couple of classes online. So I did a bit of yoga, because I was confident in that. I knew how to teach, and it is a little bit more difficult online, but anyway, so I did a few classes. I was getting more confident, and then I thought, oh, I wonder if a circle would work online. So did a circle, and we did some movement in that, I think, and then I thought, oh, I wonder if spirit dance would actually work. So I did a week. I thought, I'll just do a week of body wisdom movement. And I had loads of people came, and it was like, oh, this actually works, because I'd worked out how you can share music through Zoom, and like people could be in their living rooms. And one of the main things with free movement is a lot of people feel really self-conscious. So actually it was like, well, this is working really well, because everyone turns the camera off, no one can see them, they can just hear the music and just dance. So I did that for a week, and then I thought, oh, I wonder if we could add in, I don't even know where cacao came in, but I thought, oh, I wonder if we could add in maybe a little sort of mini ceremony meditation kind of thing. and then move into dance, because I love to dance with cacao. So started adding that in, and then then we started adding in like smudging, and then Nikki was coming, and so we started working a bit together. Should we add in opening prayers, closing prayers? We'll do some, it just developed and developed, and we started off with a group of about 8, I think, and then we've ended up, like, some mornings we get up to 30 women dancing every day, which is beautiful. And this has been the most amazing community, so gorgeous. The women that come every day, I mean, I think in my Spiritdance Facebook group now, there's like 250-ish women in there now, that are all doing this sort of work, that support each other. We you know, really work alongside each other, because, you know, this has always also been my I suppose my vision and my mission is to create communities of women again, because we've become so competitive and, you know,
detached.
Yeah, this is it. And I think, you know, when I've looked back over, you know, some of the work we've done, we did a lot of work with the Medicine Spoon Memorial last year, with the witches that were burned, or, you know, the women that were burned, really, not witches anyway, that, you know, really a lot of this really stems back from a cellular memory, I believe, from when, you know, women had to speak out against each other and get each other murdered, you know. And I'm sure that that is such a strong fear in us. So I feel that that's where a lot of that's come from. And I think, you know, we've done a lot of work with the witch wound, you know. I know Sarah Nicholson's doing quite a lot of work with that as well, and Julie Keane as well is doing a lot of work with that. That, you know, this you know, this where we can trust each other again. You know, we need each other, we need to support and root for each other, you know, rather than trying to break each other down and say, oh, well, she's doing that, she's doing it better than me, and, you know, all that shit. It's just, it needs to go. It just needs to go. You know, we can all thrive, and we can all shine, and we can all rise, and nobody is going to be any less because one woman rose. They're just not.
Exactly.
It's not about that anymore.
No, it's really interesting, because there was a lady in my group, I think it was last year, and she said to me, she said, could you run a women's circle, Lindsay? And I was like, so my voice went, yeah, okay. And my mind, I just went into this panic mode. I was like, oh my God, I can't do it. And my very first experience where I have a women's circle must have been about 4 years ago, and sitting with a group of women, and they're all talking about their emotions and their feelings. And it was so alien to me back then. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Why do you want to sit and share your emotions and feelings? And when this lady asked me to run the women's circle, again, there was such resistance. But this time I was like, why? I'm going to sit in the meditation, and I'm going to find out why I'm facing this resistance and why I'm feeling it. And I went into this space where I was in some woods with a group of women. There was 6 of us. And we were practicing like what would be deemed magic. You know, we had a fire, and we were singing, and we were chanting and dancing and doing what we knew we were meant to do. And then the next thing, we were all being pulled off, and all these men had come and were taking us away. And I ended up, I was in floods of tears afterwards, because I was like, it's no wonder that I'm feeling this resistance to being in a women's circle, because every time I have been in a group of women in past lives or other lifetimes, I've always been killed for it.
Yeah, that's it. We've been hung or drowned or something. Yeah, burned.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's it. It's completely you know, normal to feel that resistance, but we also have to remember that we're in a new age now, and this is so needed. It's so part of the new, you know, when we were talking about, you know, how things need to change. I feel that, you know, as we move forward, you know, circle and ceremony is so needed now. We so need this. We need it as human beings. It's something that is, you know, it's crucial to our evolution. I feel that we bring these things back in a way that fits in life now, you know, because again, life has changed a lot since those days. We have, you know, we really need to bring, you know, the technology that we have together with the ancient old ways, and how we can really bring that together, you know, and blend it in now. You know, we when we offer the women the cacao prayer, you know, we honor those who blend old worlds with new, and that's really what we're doing here. You know, we are blending old worlds with a new way.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, really birthing something really new, and that is also very old. And it, you know, we need to honor that, the, you know, the lineages of where this has come from, but equally, you know, we don't need to be scared of it anymore. We don't need to be scared of it anymore. You know, women can gather and not be persecuted for gathering, you know, which is really what's happened in the past. Is, you know, we've been really persecuted for coming together, and especially if we start dancing together. Now that's a really big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And banging your drums.
When we start dancing, we start to release that Shakti energy, and wow, we get really powerful, and then whoa, then we start causing trouble.
I know, and I think for me, Andrea, I shared this with someone. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to someone about your spirit dance and what it meant. And I said, for myself, doing the work that I do as well, it's like, it's not often that there's that space to be able to feel held and supported, which is what I feel you do really well in that there's those spirit dance ceremonies and in everything else that you do. But starting the day by dancing and with that movement and the meditation and everything else, it just felt really powerful, you know. And like you said, it felt like you were part of this community of other women who are wanting the same. And there was a couple of ladies, wasn't there, I think, who, you know, sometimes you can bring anything. You can bring your tears, you know, you can bring your emotions, your sadness, your happiness.
Yeah, some huge transitions in that group.
Yeah, and like you said, know that you're not being judged, and people aren't there to say, oh, well, you need to do this or you should do that. It's just like you said, it's a space where people can feel heard. So like if someone was like, if a woman's watching this now going, right, I really want to join a circle, but I don't know where to start, or, you know, how to do it, what sort of advice would you give them?
Or to start a circle, or to join one?
To join one.
Oh, to join one. To join mine?
To join one, either yours or...
Yeah. I mean, I always think that you will find what you need. It always pops up when you just need it the most, you know. There are many circles that I would say aren't great as well. So if it doesn't feel right, so this is another thing as well that's coming up for me at the moment, is that we need to start trusting ourselves, and what feels off for us is off. There's no question. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. You know, we really need to get this clear, because we are very intuitive beings as women. And if we go to a circle and it feels wrong, it's not right for us. That community, you know, we need to start thinking on a vibrational level now, that we are all vibrating at different levels, different frequencies. And so women that vibrate at this level, maybe if you're vibrating at this level, it's not going to feel right for you. So you might need to find another circle. So, you know, or you might need to start a circle, you know, as well, who are resonant with you. So, you know, that would be my advice really, is try different things. You know, like, I mean, I find it really difficult to attend circle. I have found a few that I would really, a few people that I will work with, but there's not many that I feel held with and feel really safe with. So, you know, always, just check in, see how it is, and stuff like that. You know, a circle, there is a lot to hold in circle, because if you don't hold it well, you're going to end up there all night. You've got to, you need to be in a really held space. You need to feel safe, especially if you're gonna be expressing. You need to really feel safe and not judged by anyone. So I would just say try out circles and see how they are for you. see how it feels, and if it doesn't feel right, don't come again.
Yeah.
If it doesn't resonate with you.
Yeah, I think that's what I sort of found over the years, is I tried different ones, but none of them felt right. And then it was a couple of weeks ago, and it must have been, I think, because you've just announced you're running some women's circles.
Yeah.
And we must have all had sort of like a similar download at the same time, because I'd shared in the group, I was like, what do you look for in a women's circle? Does anyone attend them? And when I couldn't find, I looked on Eventbrite, I looked on Facebook, you know, and obviously I joined yours for the week. But I just thought, you know what, I can't find what I want, so I'm just going to have to create my own, and I'm just going to start my own.
That's it.
And just see how it goes. And, you know, like for a few weeks, there's maybe only been like 1 or 2 people in there. And it's like you said, you know, just going with that flow and just finding what works.
Find your own way. I mean, I didn't do any training circle at all. I literally intuitively developed my circles and really what women wanted. I mean, we always danced in our circles together. You know, I have a lot of different tools that I can work with in a circle, because I teach yoga and meditation and relax, you know, so I can do quite a bit of stuff. And what I'm excited to work with now is the goddesses. So I have a particular container that, you know, that's I would say one of the keys is to have a container. So you want a theme, you want to know how to start it, you know, what's going to be your sort of peak in that, whether you're going to dance, whether you're going to sing, chant, you know, relax, do yoga or whatever, and then how you're going to bring it to a close. Because, you know, again, I think you can have a leaky container where you know, you're energetically holding a really strong space. As a holder, facilitator, you have to be very grounded, because you are the grounding stone, and especially if you're working online, because you're pulled out of your body a lot more when we're online. You need to be really grounded, otherwise you'll be very exhausted. And know your stuff, know what, you know, my trainings are all over 3 months, so that people really know who they are when they get to the end of it, so they are not getting pulled into other people's dramas, other people's stuff. It's not, you know, for me, it's not easy. It's not easy holding space. It really isn't. Not holding it well. I think there's a lot of factors that we need to actually be quite detached. Hold space, really.
And I think it's important as well, isn't it, for us when we are doing that. So like, it was something that I spoke about last year with someone, I can't remember who it was, but being able to actually say as well, you know, like if you're meant to be holding a circle, for example, and something has happened which has rocked you, and, you know, being able to say, actually, I can't do this today. I'm not in that space.
Yeah, that is part of my training. Never hold space if you are knocked off, because
you can't do it.
Exhaust yourself trying to do it, honestly. I mean, I had one a couple of weeks ago, and I cancelled it because I had a kidney infection, and I you know, cancelled it. I would have years ago, I would have probably gone and done it, but now you have to be really energetically centered.
Definitely.
Well, you know, to be doing it, really, I think. So yeah, definitely.
So we were just saying before we came on as well, so you're in like this transition. So what, like, do you want to share with everyone, like, what are you doing? Where are you headed? You know, what are your offerings?
So, I mean, I've been in transition probably for a couple of years, but certainly since we've been in lockdown, I've been a bit, I would say probably a bit lost. I don't know if it's lost is the right word, but I'm just trying to find what I want to do. So I started doing goddess work years ago, and at that time there was not a lot of it around. Again, I always feel like I'm a bit ahead of my time, so I always burst of them and think people go, what the fuck's she doing now? So I always feel like I'm a bit ahead of my time, but I feel now I've just done another 100 hours goddess training in yoga, restorative yoga and yoga nidra, which has been beautiful in Ibiza. It's been really nice. So I really feel, and this weekend particularly, because we've been doing restorative yoga, I've all of a sudden gone, oh shit, this is where I'm going. I can see it now really clear. It's just come really clear. I've got peonies, like, so wherever you see peonies, you're going to see goddess work. This is the way it's happening. So in it really, you know, when we think about, I certainly when I first started offering goddess work, people were a little bit cautious because they thought it was religious. Not religious. You know, we're going to be working with, like, for example, we're working with the qualities of goddesses, really. So if we work with Lakshmi, we're working with the qualities. Most people know her as abundance, but she's also about light, she's about love, she's about self-care and compassion for ourselves. So I've just run a 4-week journey with Lakshmi where we met every week and we added on a self-care practice for the month. In June, I'm going to be starting a new 4-week journey with, I'm not sure which with, I think I've put out Durga at the moment. She's quite a fire goddess, but I may go Saraswati. I'm not quite sure yet. But again, what I really feel at the moment is I want to work with the goddess qualities to transform. So that's basically what we're doing. I feel that I'm starting to channel more myself. You know, it's something that I hadn't realized I was doing, but now I think that's what's happening. And so yes, I'm bringing that in, but I'm also going to be doing a 4-week journey with yoga. So we're going to be doing a vinyasa flow goddess style with yoga nidra, and then a restorative session as well. So there's going to be offerings, but they're going to be like 4-week journeys to work with the goddess. And then Spiritdance, which happens every day. So that's going to just continue as it is, as long as people are here and wanting it and not at work, because a lot of people will be going back to work. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to be doing, I do a monthly circle with the goddess as well. So the first Sunday in the month we do, like this Sunday we've got one with, she's Saraswati, so we're going to be working with the creative energy. We do journaling, movement or yoga or whatever, and then yeah, so that's kind of how it's working. So yeah, first Sunday in the month is circle, goddess circle, and then there'll be a monthly session of yoga and restorative yoga. Then I do a bedtime yoga on a Wednesday night, which will also, I think, transition into more goddess stuff. And then and then Spiritdance every day. So that's
Fabulous.
And I will probably draw, because I do mentoring as well, and I will be drawing from the goddesses to do channel mentoring sessions as well. So yeah,
awesome.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
Work.
Yeah, I'm really loving it. I'm feeling more at home now because I got into goddesses quite a few years ago, but then like I say, it just wasn't, well, it was received. I did have quite a few people did work with me. I did a full year actually of goddess workshops. But I feel much more aligned now with the goddess energies and the cacao. You see, this all, because it all kind of blends together, and you know, I'm committed to really drawing women into their radiance and really encouraging this self-care and you know, in all the different ways that you know, that manifests itself. So I'm going to be doing a daily goddess wisdom like little thing to do online or whatever. I'll put that in all the groups. So there'll be a daily goddess just little goddess wisdom. Yeah,
there's so much when you start going into goddesses. So like I had my own experience here this year where the goddess Kali presented herself. For a couple of weeks I was just like, I just can't go near you because you're too scary. You seem really scary. And then I started doing some reading about her and learning more about her. But like to go into like all the goddesses at once felt too much. I was like, I just need
exactly. You need to work with one at a time. I mean, Kali, I've worked with Kali for quite a few years because Kali is the goddess of dance. So she is the goddess of dance. I do a Kali transmission dance actually.
Oh wow.
Do that at the end of our training because she is like in fact, I've done them a lot. I've done them in circles a few times, and I do offer those will be coming again. I think we're hoping, me and Nikki, to do some live ones of them actually, because she is a really transformative goddess. But she will cause them if you know. She works really well with cacao because she doesn't take any prisoners. So if you don't want to do the work, don't work with Kali. She will really pull you into alignment pretty damn sharpish. So she's lovely, and I've worked with her for years. I know Nikki's worked with her for years. She's one of my main goddesses over the last few years for sure. But she definitely shows you where you're out of alignment, and she will not let you get away with it. As Cacao, you know, Cacao is the same. You know, she's a fierce teacher. Kali is as well.
Yeah.
The
phrase that comes to mind is she doesn't pull any punches. And that's definitely like, it's definitely something.
She's great if you're not boundaried. She's good to work with if you're not boundaried. She will teach. Durga is similar, where they will help you pull boundaries in. But again, when we start pulling boundaries, that's not easy, because the people that have always been used to you not having any are going to start getting pissed off. So, you know, again, you know, I'm actually really loving working with Lakshmi, who I've not really worked with a great deal, but she's really resonating me. So I'm loving that. I'm feeling like she's my, you know, she really is my goddess. Really loving her. Yeah,
there was something that came through to me the other day, because I'd done a reading for a lady, and a goddess Freya, I think it was, had come through, who was one of the Nordic goddesses. And I kept swearing through this reading, because I was like, oh, I've never had a goddess come through before in a reading. And then afterwards I was like, was this, you know, was this part of this person, was this person in a past life? And I got yes. But then I was also told that all of these goddesses and all of these gods and ascended masters and everything, because they're all energy, they are actually within all of us and accessible to all of us at any one time. And I was like, wow, I'd never thought about it like that. You know, initially I'd thought of them as being like external, but after, when I'd done this channeling, I was like, actually they're part of every one of us, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I work with the Hindu goddesses mainly because of the yoga tradition. They're really what I resonate with more. I don't really resonate with like the Celtic ones. I'm not. I just never have. Or the British ones, really, to be honest. Apart from Mary Magdalene. So Mary Magdalene and also Jesus. So I do really work with their energies. I love Jesus' energy. It's beautiful. So they will be really the only ones that I will work with. In fact, I feel that they're with me all the time. Actually, I don't think they ever leave me. They're there all the time. But the Hindu ones, I just love. They're so fun. Like the stories and the, you know, the philosophy with them is so beautiful. That it you know, the Hindu ones really resonate with my nature, so which is always a fun. You know, I love to have fun with these things and play with life and dance with life, and the goddesses will really help me and support me with that. So yeah,
fabulous. So if anyone wants to find you, Andrea, I'll put all the links below, but where's the best place for people to come and find out more about you and the work that you do?
Yeah, so well, my website is radiantwoman.me. I have a Radiant Woman training Facebook page, and then a Spiritdance group. So if people want to come into the Spiritdance group, they can. They just need to send a member's request. And then, I mean, really, probably the best thing is to sign up to my newsletter, and then you get a monthly, you know, what's going on and all the bits and pieces, really. And then just Andrea Jackson on Facebook as well. I, you know, share a bit of stuff on there as well. Well, a lot of stuff on there. And then Radiant Woman on Instagram as well.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very, very much, Andrea, for joining me. And I wish you every success and abundance with everything you're going to do. I know it'll be fabulous as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.